the sphenoid bone, the temporal bone, the occipital bone. And right here you have the crista galli, which is a sharp part. It means a coxcomb, because it looks like it's early anatomist, like it belonged onto a male chicken. And so this is the one when they teach you in defense to push up right here and forces it into the brain to stop the person, the crista galli. Then it is surrounded by a cribiform plate. So any of you that play cribbage know that there's some sort of board with holes in them with pegs, and you kind of move them. And so that's what it reminded early anatomists of, was the cribbage board. So cribiform plate, and there are holes in there called olfactory foramina, which the first cranial nerve will pass through. Okay, then in your sphenoid bone right here, you have your lesser wings and your greater wings. Then you have an area called the sella turcica, Turk's saddle. Parts of the sella turcica include the optic chiasm, in which the two optic nerves will cross at the optic chiasm. These are your anterior clinoid processes. The back of the saddle is your posterior clinoid process. In the middle is the dorsum celli. Where you're going to sit in the saddle is the hypophyseal fossa, where the pituitary gland sits. And then you have your foramen rotundum, which is an opening here. Then for your temporal bone, you have your petrous portion, which means rock. And in the petrous portion, you have your internal acoustic meatus. You also have right here the carotid groove. The internal carotid artery, after it passes through the carotid canal, will come and lay along here, would dip a little bit into the lacerum before it goes up and into the brain and divide into your two cerebral arteries. The brain is going to sit in this area right here, so you have your anterior, middle, and posterior cranial fossa. Then on the inferior side of the skull, you have an opening called the incisive fossa behind the incisors, a median palatine suture, so you have a cleft palate when that doesn't close, a transverse palatine suture. This is called the palatine process of the maxilla, horizontal plate of the palatine, greater and lesser palatine foramen, vomer, that made up the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid, the pterygoid processes. The P is silent, pterygoid. Right here, the P is silent. It means wings, pterygoid. Then you have foramen lacerum, foramen ovale. I don't think they showed the foramen spinosum. Foramen lacerum, carotid canal, jugular foramen, styloid process, mastoid process, stylomastoid foramen, right there. Foramen magnum, which the spinal cord passes through, occipital condyles, in which this will articulate with C1. Then you have condylar fossa, external occipital protuberance, nuchal lines that will be along here, mandibular foramen, mandibular fossa, in which the condyloid process of the mandible will sit on that. I think that's it. I have a picture of the mandible. I don't have a picture of the mandible. But I'll do it on when I go around and show.